Chapter 23. In brisk movements, the two silently strode down the hallway. When they reached the gym, Carl informed Dr. Landerson and John that Heather had taken them outside to enjoy the spring air. Dr. Landerson marched ahead, his breathing irregular and weak at such a brisk pace. "We just need to make this quick," he repeated a second time to John as they headed outside. The group was on the southeast corner of the building. As soon as Heather saw Landerson, she stopped her activity. "Everything okay?" Fine. His tone was gruff. "We just have an announcement for this group." "Oh," she smiled, exposing her large teeth. "Sure. Should we head back inside?" No, just right here." "Gather in a circle," Landerson said, only to spot Nurse Nancy waving at him as she made her way from the building. Clarissa followed beside her. "Now what?" he muttered under his breath. "Dr. Landerson," Nurse Nancy called out. "We need to see you." "Form your circle," Landerson said to Heather. Then he leaned toward John. "Sanders, do you need me for this?" "No," John said. "She wanted to say goodbye," Nurse Nancy said as she approached. "It's for real this time," Clarissa said, her tone subdued. Dr. Landerson let out a healthy roar of laughter. "Yes, I guess so. No one's going to chase after you this time." "That's too bad." Her voice remained mellow. "I think I might miss you, Clarissa." He let out another laugh. Then his voice dropped into a softness. "You feel ready for this?" While watching his group of patients form, John's eyes kept shifting back to Landerson, catching the compassion and almost love displayed. "No, I'm scared." The fear was evident in Clarissa's voice. "I've got 2 little girls waiting for me, and I don't think they want me back." Landerson let out a softer laugh. "They do. But let's go talk. I know these are big changes ahead." He motioned her toward the building only to turn back toward John. "Take care of what you need to," he signaled at the ready and waiting group. "Wrap this up, then meet me back in my office in 20 minutes. "What's up?" Cameron said as soon as John faced them. "And how does it affect us?" Maxwell glared. John nodded. He drew in a breath and surveyed his group. He hated to see this end. The numbers were smaller now. Dale had left weeks ago. Last John had heard, he was doing quite well. Cameron had entered the exit program, and Cassidy seemed close behind. And of course, Rebecca, she should be part of the exit program too. But timing was pulling John away from these changes. He cleared his throat. He needed to get this over with. "There are some changes being made with a few of the doctor's rotations. Some things that we thought you should be aware of." "How?" Arnie asked. "How clean is the new doctor?" "What?" Cassidy looked from Arnie to John. Thomas stopped his grin. "You won't see us?" "You won't?" Cassidy asked. "Just when I was starting to like you," Maxwell said, his face breaking into his long, absent smile. "Exactly," Cameron nodded. "You're still going to be working with me?" Rebecca's voice trembled. "You will? Aren't you, Dr. Sanders?" "He won't," Cameron said. "You can see it on his face." "No. He promised he'd help." Her voice cracked. "Stop, Rebecca," Maxwell said, his smile now gone. She shifted her body away from the circle and walked away. "You're all going to do great," John said quickly, his eyes watching Rebecca as she headed further into forest grounds. "We'll miss you," Mary Jean said, her head tilting slightly to the side. "All of us will." John tried to smile, tried to insist, if only to himself, that this fanfare, as Landerson called it, was justified. "I'll still be around. I'll be helping other residents. But I still care, and I still want to hear about your successes. I want to celebrate with you, too." Rebecca was almost out of sight. John turned toward Heather. "That's it," he said softly. "We'll miss you, Doc," Cameron said. "Yes, we will," Cassidy nodded. "I'll miss working with you, too. All of you." John looked at Heather again. "I'll let you guys return to your activity. and I'll take care of getting her back." He nodded in Rebecca's direction, who he hastily jogged to catch up with. "Can I walk with you?" he asked. "It's a beautiful day," Rebecca said solemnly. Bundles of daffodils bloomed alongside the trail. The creek, although a distance away, was audible. Overhead, birds shared their chorus with an enthusiastic blue jay dancing daringly close to Rebecca. "It's like he wants a friend," John said, his laugh tense. The bird abruptly flew away. She didn't smile. "Why are they changing things?" He pulled in a deep breath, stalling to gather his thoughts. "I wish they weren't. I really do. Do you not want to be my doctor anymore because I said I was unsure about leaving? I'm sorry, Dr. Sanders. I'll say what you want. Just don't stop coming to see me." He glanced at her face and instantly regretted doing so. The pleading eyes intensified his rage. "That's not it at all. I told you I'd help you, and I will. All they're doing is bringing in another doctor to work with you." "Why?" she asked. "Why would they do that? Why are they changing things?" He decided to avoid her eyes. "It's for the best." "No. You need to do something, Dr. Sanders. Make them understand. I don't need somebody else." "Rebecca." He had to stop her questioning. "It's for the best." She bit her lip, then shook her head. "But you said I'm doing well." "You are. Then why are you changing things? It's not me that's... Well, can't you stop it?" "No." He glanced at his watch. 3 minutes remained. He needed to control this conversation. "Okay, Rebecca. Here's how it works. Your new doctor is Dr. Milton. You'll like him." "But I like you. Why can't you still be my doctor?" "Because they want Milton to help you now." "Fine," she shrugged. "Then why can't you both be my doctor? Why can't I see you both?" John paused in an anthill near their feet. One by one, the ants moved toward their miniature hill and flowed down into their hidden tunnels. A difficult silence rested between them. He looked away from her to see the shed straight across from him. Clarissa's shed. Clarissa, who said she was a prisoner here. Clarissa, who was now leaving Clearcreek. John slid his foot over the ant trail. They scattered, swayed, and wandered in circles. Rebecca followed his action. She too slid her foot across another portion of the trail, causing more ants to scatter. John kept watching, as if feeling their unrest, their loss of order, the clarity they once had. Then he found his own clarity. "I think you're right," he said firmly. She paused her next swipe. Her eyes met his. "About you being my doctor?" "Yes, you're right," he said again. "You need us both." The words were as much for him as for her. "In order for you to get the best possible care, you need both of us." She let out a sigh. "Honestly, Dr. Sanders," she finished her foot swipe, "I don't want 2 doctors." More ants scattered. "I just need 1 doctor, and that's you." "Okay." John heard the plan form as it slid out of his mouth. "Dr. Milton will meet with you during the day, and then I'll visit you in the evenings." She again sighed, this time loudly. "Won't that be a lot, meeting with both of you?" "Cheer up. My visits with you will be brief, 2 to 3 times a week, if that." "I still don't understand. I just want you." "It's for the best," he said firmly. She focused on the ants. "I really don't want Dr. Milton to come. I just want... Rebecca, I need you to listen to me." He scanned the grounds. The rest of the group had already headed inside. No one was around. "It isn't necessary to discuss with anyone that you have 2 doctors. I'm going to make it work, for you to get this extra help. But we don't want others to get jealous of your special attention." "What?" She looked at him. A quirky grin crossed her face. "Jealous? That I have 2 doctors? You think that'll be a problem?" John's voice was heavy and low. "Rebecca, this is important. Don't discuss it with others. And everything that Dr. Milton tells you, everything he does, including what medicine the nurses bring you, I want to know about, okay? She looked down at the scattered ant trail and nodded. Okay. Her grave tone duplicated his. Thank you, Dr. Sanders. An hour after midnight, and John struggled through his third graveyard shift. His body would need to adjust to the altered schedule. However, this rotation offered a great benefit. It was easier to visit Rebecca, and for that reason alone, John would endure. Twice now he had made the unauthorized visits. In regards to this new arrangement, John told himself it was only until Rebecca adjusted. This deception about his duties was temporary, but necessary for her needs, and for him to better understand the abnormal operations of the institution. Still, he struggled to appear indifferent while Rebecca continued to complain. It was a workaround that could not continue for long. On this particular night, while wandering around the ground floor, John noticed a light coming from the far corner of the west wing. It was faint but out of place. Only Dr. Graver's office was that far a distance. However, the president had left the building a little after 6 o'clock. John proceeded down the dark hall. The light breaking through the cracks of the shut door created ghostly shadows on the life-size portraits of past presidents. He tried the handle, then pushed the office door open. Oh! John was startled to see Dr. Gravers hunched over his desk. I'm sorry. He took a step back. I didn't know you were here. Dr. Gravers tilted his head to the far left. His eyes squinted at John. Is that you, Sanders? Yes. Excuse the interruption. Can a man get some peace in his own office? Absolutely, sir. Excuse me. Wait, Dr. Gravers said. What were you doing snooping around here? I wasn't. I was only doing my nightly rounds. What business did you have here? Nothing. I noticed a light on and was checking on it. I thought you'd left hours ago. To check on me? Is that your job? I thought someone had left the light on accidentally. I only came to shut it off. Should have locked the door. Can't be alone anywhere. You'd think after 10 o'clock things would slow down enough. Could get some silent time here. The president tilted to the left and closed his eyes. I'm sorry. I was just leaving. John stepped back, but the sudden strong smell of alcohol stopped him. Are you okay, Dr. Gravers? His eyes flashed open. Don't I look okay? I'm sure you're fine. If I'd needed someone to tell me there's something wrong with me, I'd have stayed at home, listened to my wife. She's got enough to say. Don't need to hear any of it from you. You understand, Sanders? Yes, I'm sorry, sir. I'll get back to my duties. Excuse me. John grabbed the doorknob. No, Dr. Gravers commanded. You get in here and sit down. I actually need to finish my rounds, John said. I need to speak to you. Can it wait? John took another step back. Get in here. All right. He slid into the cushioned seat that faced the president. All that's left is scotch. Out of his desk drawer came the bottle. Dr. Graver slammed it down on the hard surface. Let me get you some. His arm struggled to pull himself out of the large leather chair. John stood. No, I'm fine. I need to get you a glass. The man swayed until he grabbed stability from his desk. Really, Dr. Gravers, don't bother. You need this as much as I do. No, John said. I'm working. Dr. Gravers slumped back into his chair and opened up the bottle. Fine. I'll drink alone. The glass container went straight to his lips. Maybe you've had enough for the night. Sanders, Gravers glared. Don't try and carbon copy my wife. Well, it's late. John looked at the liquor container still in Gravers' hand. Perhaps I could help you get home. No. Get out. Okay. John's shoulders relaxed. Can I bring you anything? No. But just as John reached the door, he heard, You, get back here. I think I should check on a few wards upstairs, John said calmly. It'll wait. Graver pointed at the cushioned chair. Sit. Reluctantly, John resumed his seat. Maybe I should let the night staff know I'm in here, in case they need me. No. He set down the scotch. Let's talk. Ever been married before, Sanders? No. Been in love? John searched for a neutral response and a way out. Close. Look, I need to finish what happened. With what? With you. John skipped past the small scar he still felt from his college breakup. I was too focused on school and getting through it successfully. I fouled things up. You haven't missed anything, Sanders, the man growled. I'm on my 5th wife, you know. So believe me, you haven't missed anything. I'm an expert on this. It's marriage that fouls things up. The president paused for a hiccup to escape his lips. They're all the same. Who needs them? They cause more pain with all their whining. This last one, she's a real disaster to the human race. Always depressed about something. I've tried to help. He let out a snorted laugh. Offered more medication for her symptoms than is legal. When she's up, she's a zippy, high-strung thing. She talks so fast. It's constant, can't shut her up. John shifted in his seat. He opened his mouth to excuse himself, but was silenced by Dr. Graver's continuing commentary. We went on a trip this year for our anniversary. Year before, we lost money. At the last minute, she didn't feel like a cruise. Who doesn't feel like a cruise? My wife. That's who. Dr. Gravers, I need to, but not this year. No, going to make her go, no matter what. But then she starts telling me what to do, what I had to carry of hers, blaming me for all that went wrong. I don't want to die like this. Certainly don't want to live like this. I want you to know, no one tells me what to do, and definitely not my woman. His dark eyes lost their focus. John expected Dr. Gravers to pass out, but the man heaved in a deep breath and continued on. So I told her I wanted out, but that didn't go well. Are you okay? He growled again. Somehow she convinced me I wanted to make things work. She suggested a marriage counselor. I suggested my counselor. She said the sessions didn't go well. Imagine that. She blamed my therapist for favoring me, because he dwelled on her problems, how she needed to change, the truth. Then she kicked me out. Rage filled his eyes. Evil whore. The president went for the scotch, but John intercepted. Here, let me make a few phone calls. I'll get you set up in a hotel for the night. Shut up, Sanders. Don't tell me what I need. I can stay right here if I want to. This is my facility. It wouldn't even exist if it weren't for me. I can be what I want, and I can do whatever I... The words were slipping, but he came back with fire. Sit down. You're not going anywhere until I finish telling you what it is I dislike about you. The conversation suddenly shifted. You know what your problem is, Sanders? You don't know when to get your nose out. You've got to force your way into stuff you shouldn't. So confident you can change the world. Just let it be. You hear me? Just let it be. All right. John shook his head in disgust. He needed to get out. Dr. Gravers discovered his shot glass at the far corner of his desk. Some golden liquid still remained inside. He greedily swallowed it. Then he continued. You know, I could throw 𝗕𝗢𝗢𝗡𝗧 in with one of these patients. That's what I should do. It'd do her good. That's how half of them got here anyway. Had a fight with the sane spouse. That's how it should be. Half? Gravers started sputtering and swearing. Not half, you idiot. Dr. Gravers reached into a drawer and produced another liquor container. He poured himself another drink. That husband wasn't too stupid after all. Real bright, in fact. He gulped down the contents of his glass. Throwing her in there. Shouldn't even so much as scream when he left her. He walked away a free man. No legal battle. Nothing. Kept it all. It was hers, most of it. Smart man. Brionica will take more than she should. She's lazy at living off my wealth. Now she'll devour me. Financially destroy me. Evil whore. John replayed Gravers' words, his body suddenly leaning forward. What do you wish you could do? Want to know what I'm going to do? Dr. Gravers leaned forward too, his eyes straight on John. I'm going to be smarter. My other wives took me for all they could. They got good lawyers, but I'm smarter now. I'll fight that bloodthirsty evil whore to her death. His fist hit the table, then he leaned back and smiled. That's what I'll do. He was smart, walked away from it all. Luckily, I got to have some say in it. Got a fair share for us. Good for me. I did good. He poured himself another glass, emptying the bottle, then raised the glass as if offering a toast. To Clearcreek, my oasis for the mentally ill. John leaned back too, studying Gravers as he took his final swig. But what I got of hers, Gravers continued, that was only a small dent compared to his millions. His billions. But I've no worries, though. Worked out a marvelous deal. Very good one. One that just keeps on giving. I did well. I'm happy. He's happy. Everybody's happy. What do you mean? John asked cautiously. That's what I mean. Need someone to take her off my hands. What would I need to do? If only she'd believe she had a baby. The words scoffed out. Need her obsessed with the delusion. Who? My wife, you fool. Does she want? John struggled to find the right word. A baby? No, you idiot. I'm not as fortunate as that man. His wife was crazy, caring for a feigned baby. He could throw her in here and never look back. That's what I need. Who? John took a deep breath, then let the words form around his lips before he released them. Rebecca Brownell's husband? Get out. John's ears burned with desire. He needed a confirmation. Is that who you're talking about? You're a waste of a doctor. You need to leave it alone. Tell me why she's here. You don't know how to just leave things alone, do you? But what'd you think? He could have her face plastered on the grocery store tabloids, so everybody wins, okay? John's heart raced. Everybody? That is if you... Dr. Gravers staggered to stand. He swayed recklessly while raising his teetering finger at John. You just leave it? His eyes rolled back, his body teetering, then swaying forward. John lunged out of his seat and caught Gravers right before he headed for the floor. Let me be. The man growled as he lowered himself back into his seat. I'm just trying to help you, John said softly. If I needed help, I'd have told you. Remember that, Sanders. Don't ever tell me what I need. He grabbed his desk again, struggling to hoist himself up. While his body swayed, he pointed at the door. Now get out.